Welcome to another episode of Quayside Talk Show. This period has been hot and NEPA has been doing wonders. But nevertheless, life continues, the business keeps going, and real estate keeps thriving. On this note, we'll be taking on a very interesting topic. How do you avoid appearing desperate while being proactive? This is an experience most persons have while trying to talk to new prospects, follow up with clients, and they are avoiding being desperate, but then at the same time they know they need to keep up with this person. With me here today to take us on this topic is a very special guest, Mrs. Nwamaka Gosin. It's very nice to have you here. And did I mention she's been in the real estate industry for a couple of years and she's perfect for this topic. Thank you very much, Ma, for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Rachel. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be doing this show with you today. And the topic is a very, very tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. But yeah, can't wait to dive deep into it with you.
Okay, that's fine. So let's start with the topic before we go down to the questions, the sub-questions under it. So how do you avoid appearing desperate while also being proactive?
Okay, so there's a very thin line between desperation and proactivity, or should I say doing your job. Okay, as a realtor, as a salesperson, your job is to provide service, is to make sure that your end-to-end is very well delivered from start to finish. Okay, and so I'd say that clients, investors, they can smell desperation from several miles away. Anybody can smell desperation from several miles away, and it is because nobody wants to part with their money. For example, no matter how valuable you think skincare product is, every time you go to a skincare store to buy it, you always feel, wow, can't I just be glowing without spending this money, right?
Yeah.
So nobody really wants to part with their money. So when it comes to parting with one's money, people are always very on their defense, very defensive, like, hey, who goes, what's going on? Okay, so but there are ways that a salesperson can stay proactive without coming off as being desperate. And one way I can summarize everything is by saying, know what you're offering. As a salesperson, the number one thing that you should be offering is value. At every point in time, you have to be value driven. Okay, for every time you are coming back to a client, you have to be coming back with essential information based off of prior conversations with that person. Okay, I believe that you definitely would have had some background conversations with the person based on what they need, what they're looking for, their family size. So every time, and so forth and so on. So every time you're coming back to them, every time you're, circling back to them, it should be based off of value. You're coming back to them with value. And so when you do this, it's it's really far away from every time you're coming back. If you don't buy this one, this is the last one standing. After this post, there won't be what I'm talking about.
But I thought that was like a sales strategy.
Yes, I would say that it's really outdated. It has become very cliche because a lot of salespeople have used it and squeezed it put hype on it. We've done a lot of things with it. So I think that it still works. Again, like we're talking off camera, I'd say that you have to understand what was the background story. When the client was coming to you, what did he see first? Did he see a flyer that said, we just have 3 of these units left on the table? Now you have a backstory. So when you come to the client and say, oh, this is the last unit, it's after today, it's going off, you won't be getting this opportunity anymore, then there's a backstory to fall back to. But there was no backstory. Just out of the blues, you're already being erratic, saying, if you don't get this now, this offer, this is a one-time lifetime offer. If you lose this, you miss out. You snooze, you lose. How do we say those things again? Okay, so I'm just saying, always be value-driven. Always be value-driven in your communication style. Everything, all around, end to end, be value-driven. It just stands you apart.
Okay, that is well said. That brings me to my next question. So, what are the signs that a professional or an investor is coming up as, desperate?
Okay. So for a salesperson, let's start with the salesperson, and then we'll just bring in the investor as we go along. For a salesperson, it's important to know where you are at in like the sales channel or in the sales funnel, like we like to call it. It's important to know the position of every investor in that funnel, right? So for somebody who is just gathering information, for somebody who is just surveying the markets, if you text them in the morning and then at 10 a.m. and then you're texting them again at 2 p.m., they're wondering what's going on, because they are just trying to gather information, all right? Yeah. But for somebody who is an active buyer, who you've identified as an active buyer, somebody who is ready to invest immediately, texting them 10 a.m. in the morning and then maybe 6 p.m. in the evening, to them it's just a reminder. It's just, okay, let's pick up the conversation from where we left off. Are we negotiating now? Are we, discussing further with the owner, for example, tomorrow? Where are we at? It's just to ensure that, the ball keeps rolling for that person. On the other hand, for somebody who's just gathering information, if you call them again at 6 p.m., they're wondering, what's going on? Whereas they're the ones that called you, they're the ones that reached out to you.
Yes, I was going to ask you, so how do you know this one is just surveying the market? Because he reached out to you, I'm interested in this, how much is this, blah, 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 blah. So I think the next time you're trying to call him is, you're trying to see how much of interest he has on that property he reached out to you for. So how would you be able to know that this person is he's not serious? At the first go, I know along the line you're going to definitely find out after he must have, declined your call or ignore your messages. You just know this person is not serious. But at that first week, let's say week, how would you...
Even within the first 24 hours, yeah?
Okay.
Okay. So, number one, as a salesperson, you must be a very excellent listener. Listen, and then pick up the cues between sentences, conversations. Okay, be able to pick up cues, and then you can be very subtle, but very subtle in speaking, but words or conversations that have very hard effects. For example, you can subtly find out what do you want? When are you planning to, secure this investment? Do you understand?
Yeah.
That way you know the time, if they have a time, yeah. Okay. For example, if he says, "Oh, going well, over the next 6 months," you can know that person is surveying. Okay. Or if he says, over the next 3 months, perhaps, you can peg that person somewhere in the middle. Because if the conditions are right, he might calm down, he might come closer. You might be able to close that sooner. Okay, so these are little ways that you can. And then, am I speaking to the authority? Who's paying for this property? There's sorts of ways that you can find out. Maybe you sent him a couple of these things, and the person saying, this is a bit above my budget. Okay, what's within your budget? That way you're understanding. Okay, he might, come around and say, oh, what I have right now is so and so and so. Okay, you're gathering information. That's data for you, so you can tell if this person is ready right now, or this person, we should just be following up with this person maybe once every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. You can tell, or just maybe the person can just be around your WhatsApp, viewing your status, viewing your updates and getting as much information as is necessary. The person might not even need updates from you over another 1 month. Do you understand? So asking questions, being a good listener, I beg your pardon, can, just give you as much information and as much cues as you need to decipher if this person is ready or not. Yeah.
Okay. But so we're not done with the science, so let's go back to the science.
Yeah. Okay. So another science is oversharing. Okay. Some people like to play towards the client's emotions or an investor's emotion. Okay, I have 4 kids. I just lost my husband. I'm going through a divorce. And so forth and so on. Nobody really cares. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have to hear the hard truth. Nobody cares. Again, nobody wants to part with their money. Money is very, very valuable. And so sometimes when you begin to overshare, the person becomes very edgy about you, becomes very suspicious about everything. Could it be? 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 And the person's pulling away. So oversharing can be a sign that the person's coming off as being desperate. Just being erratic. Today there's a discount going on. Tomorrow prices have come down by 5%. Next tomorrow, just giving ridiculous offers. Do you understand? And not being stable and sort of agreeing to every term and condition thrown at you by the buyer. Gives off, that desperate feeling, desperate vibe, like this person might be, coming off as being desperate. And then again, reading cues, like I mentioned earlier, reading cues, mastering the art of communicating appropriately. So for example, if a client prefers to be reached out to by emails, it's important that you stick to that channel of communication. Okay, not that he's been texting you via WhatsApp and then you text him WhatsApp, you don't get him, you bombard him with SMS. That one is not enough. You go have the calls. That one is not enough. And then you just, so it's important that you mirror an investor's energy, or you mirror their energy. Yeah, just mirror their energy. If this person is a very detailed person, and then you have to bring your A game, give them the detailed aspect of it. And then if the person is a very brief person, the person just wants the core of the information, just tell me what's on board. You just be as brief as possible. So mirror the person pattern in your communication style. Maintain their preferred communication, because if you are texting an email person and texting, the person will come and see 6 text messages from you. It's already feeling very like, am I safe here? And this is just a few amongst the many other signs to show that someone is, or a salesperson, or an investor who's trying to sell is being was coming off as being desperate. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I think I am learning a lot. I'm sure most persons are also learning a lot. So I think I have my last question, last but not the least.
Okay.
So how do you maintain persistency in follow-up without appearing pushy or being pushy about it?
So it takes me back to where we started from. You have to be value driven, very value driven. That's how to maintain persistence. Okay, so in the course of your conversations with this person, the person may have giving you cues, maybe spoken about their children, maybe spoken about their children's school, something that is very important to them. When something is on somebody's mind, they tend to let it out even without knowing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or maybe they could just keep talking about their spouse's workplace. Or they at the very, maybe they work from home, mom or dad, and they're just concerned about their spouse's workplace. Like, this place has to be close proximity to my husband's workplace or my wife's workplace. In all of this, you need to understand and hold close to those things that they were telling you. Do you understand? So that when you're circling back to them, you're giving them value-based information. What is important to them? You're hitting the like, I found this home. It's about 20 minutes drive to so and so location. And in our conversations, you had mentioned that you wanted something that would be not too far from your spouse's workplace. The person will understand that you're coming back to me with information that matters, not just if you don't key into this thing tomorrow, it will be so bad. You lose out on a lifetime opportunity. How we always say that. Okay, so it's important that you maintain, you maintain persistence with value. You understand? You combine it with value. It's important to know where this person is in the sales funnel. So where that person is in the sales funnel will now determine how you be following up with that person. Like I said, for some people might just need might just require a once a month follow-up. Another person who might be 70, 80, 85% closing level might require you to text them twice a day over the next 2 weeks, or text them once a day over the next 2 weeks until that deal is finally closed. So it's important to know where they are. That will determine how often you are texting or emailing or calling them, depending on which channel of information is their preferred channel of communication. Okay, then pick up cues, come back to them with value-based information, not just post them. Oh, I found this. Oh, before you know it, I've sent the person 5 listings. That's minus the 10 you had sent them last week. so yes, that's just a few. That's just a few of ways that you can maintain persistence. In following up with a prospect or a client without coming off as being pushy. And then try to limit how much information you're sharing per time. Don't divulge everything immediately. There might be a 40, let me not say 40, let's give me 40% discount now. Let's say there might be a 5% discount on a particular investment, but holding off that information might be the game changer in a month's time for you. Okay? It might be a game changer for you if you don't divulge it immediately. Okay, just hold it off for like another 2 weeks.
Isn't that like lying to the client or hiding?
No, it's not, because sometimes divulging that information too soon might make the person, just push the person back a bit. And I never even started it. Sorry, I'm speaking. We've not even started the conversation already, and this was already giving me 10% discount. Do you understand? So, time the information, your information sharing. Just time it. Know when and how to share each information with the client. Not like, I'm not talking about basic information. It's a 3-bed, for example. It's a 3-bed, 3.5 baths. It's located in Elegushi. It's what's the other thing we will tell them? It comes fully finished or semi-finished. These ones are basic information that the clients should know. Okay, but maybe like a 5% discount or even a 2% discount that the developer has given you leverage to, you can just hold that off a bit and say, okay, let me hold this off. When it gets shaky, when the winds come and the storm everywhere is shaking, you'll not be like, you use that as your, what they call that, your joker card. You use that as your what? As your leverage. As I don't know, there's something they call it, like your joker card when you want to check up. You know, when you have
last time.
Just check up. Just use that too. Do you understand? Just use that too. Instead of just giving out all the information when the time comes, you just do. What am I even going to say again? What am I even going to do again? What am I going to do? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Now, yes, I do.
Yeah, so
thank you very much, Mrs. Nwamaka. I think I learned a lot. I don't know if somebody else did, but I know I learned a lot. There's a thin line between being desperate and also proactive. You need to narrow down your clients and down to the people, be able to attest or dictate the people that are their level of sales. Listen, the part where you said where your clients are at the sales,
yes, the sales funnel, yes.
So you need
where they are, be and this on the same level, or maybe just a few steps ahead of them, so that you can mirror their energy.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. It was actually nice having you on seat, and you keep saying few things. I think you might need to come back and mention the full part of
full gist, right?
Yes, because this few it's not really sitting well with me, so maybe we're going to host you again.
I'll be glad to join you again.
Nice. She has agreed, so I think we have her again next week.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for staying tuned, and see you on the next one with Mrs. Nwamaka Gossip.
Oh my God.